3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Back to 1.
So you see, it's kind of hear how that went.
Yeah, you started like at the top of the neck near the tuners, right, and worked down towards the body.
Yeah. Well, basically, right. Yeah, you got like 3 chords. You have the open is when you play all the strings open. That's usually your first chord. When you bar across the 5th fret, that's usually your 2nd chord, and then you have one more chord if you bar across the 7th fret. You got your 3rd chord, and it's just a progression that goes around. So what's kind of cool about the blues is once you learn how to play, say, this simple shuffle rhythm, the way you make it sound better is you learn how to fill it in, like when to play chords and sing, and then when to kind of fill in and play licks. And this is what's really interesting about the blues is, originally, back in the day, way before our time, people used to work out in the field. So they had this person who was called the caller, and the caller would sing out a verse, and then all the people working would respond back with the chorus. So it was kind of this like round and round. And they would sing, a lot of times they would sing to make the workload a little bit easier, or they would sing kind of to coordinate everybody together. Say they were like chopping wood or pulling something, they would use these, and they basically call this call and response. So what you do now in the blues, you can do this by yourself. So for instance, in clip number 10, I give an example of call and response, and this is how you learn how to fill in. So what you're going to hear is, in a sense, is I'll sing, and then the guitar will call back, and then I'll sing some more, and then the guitar will call back, and then I'll sing some more, and the guitar will come back. So this is kind of how you learn how to fill in the song. So clip number 10 is call and response.
Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Well, I'm doing all right, child. Good morning, how are you?
Did you hear that? It's like that first clip we played before, that 12-bar blues progression is exactly the same thing as the call and response, but now it sounds so much different because I'm singing and responding back with the slide and singing. So it's really interesting how it's the exact same progression, but now it sounds so much different. Yeah, so what you can see is what I'm trying to explain a little bit is the blues is really not that hard to learn in a sense. Once you kind of learn the progression, then you kind of figure out where you could play the leads, And then in clip number 11, what I'm kind of showing you is that what you figure out first is you make yourself a 3-chord rhythm. So you come up with a rhythm that's going round and round, and then you learn how to fill in the blanks, so to speak. So in clip number 11, I think you'll understand what I'm saying. You'll kind of hear how sometimes I'm playing chords and sometimes I'm playing the bottleneck slide fill-in licks, but I keep going back to the chord. So it goes chord, fill-in, chord, fill-in. So I think you'll understand this a little bit better with clip 11. in the bottleneck slide is that, you know, once you learn how to play some rhythm, then you just kind of figure out where you could stop playing the rhythm and fill in a lick and then come back to the rhythm. So it's like you're playing two parts at the same time a little bit.
And that's that theory of music right there, is taking every little thing that you learn and putting it all together to create.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, like to kind of backtrack a little bit, you know, once you learn how to figure out how to play, say, a simple melody line, and what I mean by melody line is the words that you sing on like one string, then what you could do is you could figure out what they're called double stops. And double stops are simply just playing two notes at the same time. And so, you know, what you learn is how to harmonize a scale. Like, you know, here's the thing, you know, I was talking about musical theory, is a lot of people think musical theory is like limiting or like really hard to learn, but it's really not. Like, if you learn a simple scale, like the major scale, it's going to help you find those simple melody lines. And then, you know, once you learn a major scale, you can learn how to harmonize the major scale, which means you add a second note to it so that the chord, the sound becomes richer. And then from two notes, you learn how to add the third note, and that's a chord. So you go from, like, instantly you go from single notes to double notes to chords, and then you have like a big full sound. And it's exactly what you were saying, that you take really everything you learn from different ways, like, you know, what you know about scales, what you know about chords, what you know about rhythm, and you start gluing it all together. And before you know it, you know, a song that was really simple sounds really exciting and interesting because you kind of combined all these different ideas together.
And that's the bottleneck slide blues style that...
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the thing. I mean, if you're interested, like, I was always interested in playing the old bottleneck slide, like the blues players would play. And, you know, when I started learning this back when I was in the Air Force back in the 80s. And I started with, like, instructional tapes, like from Stephen Grossman and Happy Traum. And it was really good, you know, but the problem was, like I said earlier, I just couldn't get it together, you know. I really didn't understand how they made these songs, you know, and I think a lot of people have the same problem. Like, they'll know the chords to a song, but they really have no idea, like, why they're playing those chords or why they're playing those notes in between the chords and why it works. And that's what I really wanted to figure out. I wanted to start exploring, you know. And, you know, I started listening to, like, a lot of the old blues players, you know, and we could talk about some of these old blues players. And I wanted to learn how to play their songs. Like, you know, like the first person you really should listen to is Charlie Patton. Now, not a lot of people know about Charlie Patton. He's like the godfather of the Delta blues, but a lot of people don't know about it. And unfortunately, a lot of his recordings, you know, they were on those old 78s, are really crunchy. I mean, just like, you know, and you have to kind of get used to it. But there's some real gems in there. So, but the problem was, there was no, you know, people say, oh, you know, is there any tablature for Charlie Patton? So nobody has any tablature. Nobody's tabbed this stuff out. So if you want to figure it out, you know, learn how to play, it's like you pretty much have to figure it out yourself. So you really need some kind of musical theory to help you understand, like, you know, what is he playing, you know? And so on clip number 12 is a cover I'm doing of Charlie Patton tune called Banty Rooster.